Hello everybody, how are you? In our video today, I wanted to talk a little about emotionally strong people. What is this, and how do we develop emotional intelligence? There are emotionally strong people. They have emotional intelligence, which is the ability to identify, their own emotions and the emotions of others. He deals with it in a balanced way, and that is having emotional intelligence. They are people who decide things calmly, wisely, listen carefully to what others say, advise gently, offer help. These are common behaviors of people who have emotional intelligence. She enters into your problem to listen to you, but she is not contaminated by it. She also doesn't allow other people's emotional reactions to contaminate her life. Those who have emotional intelligence also don't keep whining, remember that person is always the victim of something. No, she doesn't do that. An emotionally great person doesn't keep complaining, doesn't keep grumbling, because whoever does this always thinks she's a victim of something and doesn't see a solution to her problems, doesn't know how to get out of the situation she's facing. And the emotionally intelligent person rarely feels like a victim because he looks for solutions. He doesn't keep finding someone to blame for everything that's happening. He doesn't think he's the most harmed of everything all the time. He thinks about how he's going to deal with it, with that problem, with that situation, in a constructive way. So what can I do? I'm in that situation, so I'm going to calm down. What can I do to get out of this? To get out of it in a good way by learning something. That's what emotionally intelligent people do. People with emotional intelligence know how to say no, and this is also very important. They don't commit violence to please people, and it doesn't mean selfishness. They go out, they help, they listen, they talk, but they know how to set limits, because you know how many conflicts there are, how many problems there are when you can't speak no, when you give all of yourself for people and you become emptied from trying so hard to satisfy someone else, and then you forget about yourself, your limits, your life, your emotions. So acting with emotional wisdom means knowing how to set limits and knowing when to say no. We don't have to say yes to everything, and we don't have to hear yes from everyone. So when these characteristics are practiced, these behaviors, they make us stronger emotionally. This is the cool thing. And they say not also in love relationships. They are not afraid of losing the person's love because they have self-confidence. There are people who will think that this is a selfish attitude, an attitude of the self-centered person, isn't it, people? That's why there is so much confusion. There are so many conflicts in relationships, not just family relationships, friendship relationships and relationships at work. That person who doesn't know how to set limits, then they dance cool. There's no way around that. They don't count on others to be happy. They trust themselves. They like a relationship. They love people. Of course they do, but their happiness is not left in the person's hands, because if the person decides that they won't make you happy, then what happens? They are truly self-sufficient. They are emotionally strong people. They are not afraid to love. This is a peculiarity of people with emotional intelligence, to suffer heartbreak like anyone close to them. Don't blame love. It's never love's fault, but it's the way we deal with love and the way we need to be loved. How we feel, how we show love. If I am a person who is emotionally dependent, if I am traumatized by betrayal, my tendency will be to suffocate the other. If I don't have emotional wisdom, emotional competence, emotional intelligence, I will kidnap the other person. The other person will have to stay there still so I can feel safe. It's because I don't want to go through that again. A person with emotional intelligence can go through that again, and they know that they must be partly to blame for that ending, but they are not destroyed. They can rebuild themselves in a healthier way. They will not end up with that. I will never, but she will trust no one and will leave love aside. Whoever develops emotional intelligence recognizes that it was bad that she suffered a certain situation, but rebuilds herself. Yes, she can understand where she went wrong too, recognizes her vulnerabilities and does it differently next time, but she doesn't deprive herself of experiencing her emotions. It's not precisely because she can handle them. She remembers that she suffered. Come on, let's move on to another. What do I have to learn from this? Where did I go wrong? What can I do differently? What profile of a person doesn't please me, doesn't do me any good? And that's how they move on in life. An emotionally strong person does not depreciate themselves. They never bring themselves down, because self-pity is a characteristic of emotionally fragile people. They fall apart easily. Anything that happens wrong, they think it's because they're not good enough. So the emotionally intelligent person is not afraid of starting over with difficulty. They don't give up halfway, and with each victory they achieve they promote the necessary changes. They become stronger, they learn from their mistakes, they are not traumatized, and they never repeat what was painful again. And how do we develop emotional intelligence? How do we become stronger emotionally? How to identify your feelings and emotions more easily? Knowing yourself is the first step. Knowing what irritates you, what hurts you, what makes you upset. What I don't want in life, what I want in my life, how I react in difficult times. These are questions that we have to ask ourselves, to get to know ourselves, because then you already know the triggers that will detonate your self-esteem, the things that will get you out of your head. Control is important, so everything involves self-knowledge in the first place. Those who don't know each other never know how they will react, what their relationships are like. You recognize your limitations, so all of this has to be asked, and it has to be known. Emotional intelligence is a skill that we can develop throughout our lives. The first step, as I said, is self-knowledge, self-evaluation, what your reactions are to problems, what sensations you have, what your biggest difficulties are. So all of this you have to pay attention to. The second point is that you learn to control your emotions, because impulsiveness doesn't help you at all, and we often regret some actions we take in the heat of a fight. Your emotion is very strong. Learning to deal with negative emotions is very important. We can't let them control us, we have to be in control of them. It's when you know what calms you down, understand? This is using emotional intelligence, no big deal, but you are in control of your own life. Whoever controls themselves emotionally can come out better in various situations. Everyone has a way of dealing with their own emotions. Some isolate themselves for a while, other people cry a lot, close themselves off, but soon recover. Those who can't cope can seek professional help, because sometimes the person can't, they become more stuck. There are very delicate things in the past, and then they become very closed off, very reactive. So, stop by a psychologist, seek help if you cannot control your emotions, cannot achieve satisfactory self-knowledge, learn to express yourself. This is a very important way. We don't leave things up in the air waiting for the other person to interpret, who knows what way, because sometimes we interpret how we want. When the person doesn't communicate clearly what they are feeling, what they don't is enjoying it, we always think that the other person has to understand. It's not like that. The emotionally strong person supports their emotions, they assume what they are feeling and will accept what they give them, but they won't die because of it. Belongs to no one, it has internal contents. Emotional intelligence, the person who is in control of their own emotions and is not shaken by the other person's madness, because problems come and then the person does not know how they are going to get out of that situation. By developing this you will definitely solve it in another way. It's no different from what you've done to date. Maybe you'll develop empathy. Do you know what empathy is? You put yourself in someone else's shoes. This makes us better understand that person's attitudes. We become more understanding. That's what empathy means, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, feeling what the person is feeling. You can better understand, sometimes, that person's anger or aggressive behavior, and then you put yourself in their place, even giving you some distance, calming them down. If I were going through this, you realize that people have pain, they have needs, and they have flaws like everyone else. Developing emotional intelligence is very important. It is very important that we become stronger emotionally. We don't end up at rock bottom with setbacks of life. We develop emotional fiber, resilience. It might even take a hit, but you'll go back to your seat. An emotionally strong person uses everything he suffers and turns it into wisdom through life experience. Look how cool this is. So I suffer, I say, wow, something horrible happened to me, so I'm going to close myself off, I won't leave the house anymore, I just cry. And a person with emotional intelligence, they will take that, they will evaluate it, they will take some time calmly and they will understand. Now this has shown me that I should no longer act like that and get involved with people like that, understand? It's really cool that relationships improve performance at work. It also improves quality of life, it improves everything, even better, if you don't learn to know your emotions and name your emotions, to control them. You don't develop this intelligence. There are people I see who can't name the emotion they are feeling. I ask, but what is it that you are feeling? Describe it for me. Oh, I don't know, it's one thing. The person cannot name it, so this is the process of self-knowledge, do you understand? What you are feeling is very important for us to strengthen ourselves emotionally, and this makes us happier, calmer, more competent to deal with whatever happens. Guys, I hope you liked this video. I want you to really develop your emotional intelligence. Do this training daily. It has its difficulties, but we can do it. A big kiss, guys. Share this video with that friend. You always have to be humble and temperate. Show it to her, because I think she'll like it. It's okay? A big kiss. Activate the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel. See you later.